Hi, everyone. Welcome to Retail Media Reimagined, from marketplace discovery to D2C retention. My name is Megan Conahan. I'm an EVP here at Direct Agents. For those of you who do not know Direct Agents, we're a full-service e-commerce marketplace agency helping brands grow profitably across Amazon D2C and retail media networks. So today we're going to cover four main things. So one, we're going to do an Amazon Unbox recap, just the key moments that you missed from ROAS to LTV, talk about why winning in 2026 are going to require brands to optimize just a little bit differently. Talk about generative engines, Sparky and Rufus specifically, and what they mean for your optimization framework. And then finally, the rising role of creators in the retail media ecosystem. But before we jump in, let's just do a quick round of introductions. Nick, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Nicholas Galante. I'm the VP of Ecom at Direct Agents.
And I'm Mickey Schluter. I'm a senior strategist here at Direct Agents.
Well, great. So perfect. So like I said, we want to start first and foremost with the Unbox recap. What came out of Unbox last week when we were attending was actually quite massive, because they weren't really just incremental updates like we're used to hearing from Amazon. They really most of Unbox really signaled a shift in how Amazon sees its role across the media ecosystem. So the headline is this: Amazon is no longer just a retail media network. It's positioning itself as the most unified, identity-rich, full funnel ad platform in market. There were 5 big themes. I'll try to cover them as quickly as I can. And obviously, if you have any questions, feel free to email us at marketing@directagents.com. First is unification. Amazon officially merged sponsored ads and DSP into one campaign manager. It's a single planning and reporting environment for search, display, and streaming. This is Amazon pretty much just saying full funnel is no longer a strategy. It's the default ways that brands should operate, and you need to get on board. 2, creative at scale. Creative Agent was the standout announcement. It can turn a product page into full campaigns, display, audio, and even streaming TV in hours instead of weeks. This matters because Amazon also announced a sponsored product video, which we all kind of saw coming, and we've been beta testing for quite some time. Bringing native video directly into search results. To compete, brands will need to have a steady stream of short and product-forward assets, and Creative Agent is Amazon's best bet at making that creative volume possible. Third is new premium ways to show up. Sponsored prompts now surface AI-powered answers inside search results to guide shoppers in real time. Brand Showcase introduces immersive branded destinations that feel more like digital end caps and ads, and Reserve Share of Voice lets brands lock in top of search visibility at a fixed price. Fourth, streaming sports and shoppable influence. Prime Video now reaches 130 million ad-supported viewers. In the US, Amazon expanded its sports footprint with new biddable sports inventory across NBA, WNBA, and more, which means pretty much brands can buy high-attention cultural moments with the same precision and measurability as lower funnel media, which is quite exciting. We're really pumped about this. And then finally, identity and measurement. Amazon's authenticated graph, now recognize 90% of US households. And you combine that with AMC's expanded look-back window and natural language analytics, and Amazon is really positioning itself as the most transparent, measurable, and real-time advertising platform at scale. So again, really, really exciting things. We're extremely pumped about a lot of these new initiatives. We've been testing a lot of them on the back end for some time. So now let's pivot into talking about optimization. And Nick, I really do want to start with you here, because I think this is going to reframe how brands are talking about growth and optimization and profitability going into next year. So I want to talk big picture first, which is how do brands start pivoting from optimizing for things like ROAS to moving into thinking about optimizing for things like new to brand and LTV? Like what's that first step look like?
Yeah, good question. So we know just historically CAC and LTV have been table stakes, right? But for years, we could only make inferences for the Amazon buyer. Mm-hmm. And then when you factor in the margin differences, right, between D2C and Amazon, now Shopify and Amazon, which is getting so much prominence, it's no wonder that brands would always prioritize their own store. But the customer of today, the broader market, made it impossible for them to do so, right? Demand is happening on marketplaces. For better or for worse, it's not happening on D2C. Mm-hmm. So with the introduction of AMC, and I think, Megan, you made really good points on all the investment that Amazon is doing here, in their own data infrastructure and data management platform. We now have that ability. We can understand things like new to brand. We can understand iROAS. We can understand lifetime value. So we're now closing that visibility gap for the metrics that, again, brands have just historically been looking at on D2C. So to start, I'd say brands should actively be running AMC queries to understand both new to brand and LTV ratios each week if possible, and use that to guide decision making, right? Ultimately, we want to understand where are you going or should be investing your dollars, both in search and off Amazon. And this is going to give you that ammo, right? It's going to give you a data-backed picture on where exactly to do so. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah. Can you give me some examples of how brands can use Amazon's new to brand data to build these like retention and LTV strategies? Like, where would you start? What have you guys done so far?
Yeah. So we would always chase volume, right? ROAS, ROAS, ROAS. But now with Amazon's new to brand data, we can be a lot more surgical. So it gives us two levers that we can pull. First, we use new to brand data to define a specific role for every dollar that we're investing. So I'd say to start, you have to ask, is this dollar meant to acquire or is it meant to retain a customer? So this has led to the concept of entry SKUs versus loyalty SKUs. So an entry SKU, that's a product that's really like your tentpole entry product. New to brand data is proving that it is literally the best first purchase for us. It hooks the customer, has a really high repeat purchase rate. So we overinvest our acquisition budget on these products, even if the initial ACoS looks higher, right? And the reason we do that is because we just know we have a feedback loop where we're getting LTV passed back to us, that we know investing in this audience is going to pay us back the highest LTV ratio. And then conversely, for loyalty, also an incredibly important strategy as it relates to investment. So we optimize for retention first and margin stability second. So it lets us reactivate the retention engine almost immediately. So for instance, when new to brand data confirms a first time purchase, we enter that golden window. So this is where we pivot from acquisition focused strategies to retention tools. And we're using the same platforms that we're using for acquisition there. We're using sponsored ads. We're using Amazon DSP. But we're now targeting those customers with complementary products. We can offer incentives to sign up for subscribe and save, for instance. So the goal isn't just a second purchase. It's really establishing a recurring purchase habit, right? And by isolating new customers with that new to brand data, we can really make our retention spend more efficient. And the goal of all of this is to drive up customer lifetime value.
So it seems really exciting what you're doing, but it also seems like it is a little bit more complex than how most brands are currently operating. So what's the biggest mistake brands make when they're trying to optimize for both acquisition and retention at one time?
Yeah, this is a trap almost everyone falls into, especially on Amazon. So biggest mistake is simply treating all your ad spend the same way. It's like trying to hit two different targets with one arrow. So the moment a brand starts running a campaign without proper segmentation, they're almost guaranteed to be wasting money, right? You end up spending your hard-earned acquisition budget, and that was money earmarked for finding genuine new-to-brand customers on getting in front of people who bought from you last month. So you're essentially paying Amazon to acquire a customer you already own. That inflates your metrics. It makes it impossible for you to know if your prospecting efforts are really working. And here's often the critical, most overlooked result of that. It inflates inefficient spend. It masks the true cost of acquiring a new customer, and it really hinders a brand's ability to grow and expand its addressable market. So you look at your numbers and you think prospecting is too expensive, so you cut back, and then next thing you know, market share suffers, right? The brand growth, year-over-year growth stagnates. So you're really just shifting sales away from your loyal customers. So to start with, proper segmentation, and as I had said previously, really understanding entry versus loyalty SKUs.
So if you think into next year, right, how do you envision things like these LTV metrics influencing bidding and budgeting decisions across Amazon?
Yeah, so next year, wow. So I would say we're moving away from what I call single transaction advertising.
Mhm.
Right now, I'm still seeing way too many brands that bid primarily on ROAS in Amazon.
Mhm.
And it's, again, just to get that one immediate sale. So I think by 2026, this is going to be not necessarily obsolete, but it's going to be going away. LTV, loyalty data, that's going to become the co-pilot for how brands should effectively invest on and off Amazon. So the big shift is that acquisition strategy is going to be redefined. We're not just going to look at ACoS on the first purchase. We're going to look at things like predictive LTV modeling to bid. What that's going to give us is we can and should aggressively overpay for customers that we know are the most valuable, right? So for instance, if we're targeting a new to brand customer that on the surface we're seeing has a 50% ACoS, but that customer is a part of a cohort that has a 400% LTV adjusted ROAS, we green light that campaign every time. So simplest way I can put this is we're going to be budgeting for future profit, not just today's sales. And then for LTV, I think that's also going to radically change where we spend our budget across the funnel, right? A lot of CFO partners we have, they need that financial proof. Especially around mid and upper funnel investments, right? Like DSP, like sponsor brand video. Why? Because LTV data, often coming from advanced tools like AMC, prove that these channels don't just inject the highest quality customers, but also in certain cases, the most loyal customers, right? With the highest repeat rate. So by 2026, I think we're going to see budget shifts significantly to funding awareness and defense, not just conversion, because the goal will then become protecting LTV that we've already learned is always going to be cheaper than just acquiring a net new customer.
Yeah, I'm excited for it personally. The other big conversation we're having with our brands, other than that pivot for KPIs and optimization, is really around generative engines, right? Like you can't talk to a brand or an agency without hearing GEO or some conversation around it. And Mickey, this is where I want to turn to you because we are officially moving from a world where we were very keyword driven, right? But now it's more about conversational queries. Like, okay, I'm going hiking in the Pacific Northwest. I need boots. I'm a woman. I'm this age, et cetera, and really giving all of these details. So from an organic and a catalog perspective, that changes things like quite a lot. So what would you say are the top 3 listing or content mistakes that brands are still making when they're preparing for AI assisted discovery, things like Rufus or Sparky, and how would you prioritize those fixes if you had to pick like a single one now?
Yeah, I mean, stop me if you've heard this before, but AI is changing a lot of things. And, the Amazon marketplace is another example of that. I mean, to break it down a little bit further, let's take a look at Cosmo, which Amazon released last year. And I know Nick did a couple good pieces on the Direct Agents website about Cosmo and what it means for brands. And it's a lack of understanding of what that entails. Most listings that we're seeing that aren't successful in the Amazon space don't follow the full Cosmo definition. So things like used for specific functions, used for specific events or activities, and then also targeting specific audiences. So there's a whole list of different things within the Cosmos framework that we're seeing brands not utilize to its fullest extent. And by doing this, you're hindering your ability to show up on Rufus when a customer is potentially comparing, specific products for hiking in the Northwest. So that's one of the most, hindering things that we'll see from brands with their product listing pages. The other thing is attribute inconsistencies. When you're adding things to your product listing description, you want to make sure that there's consistency across the board. If your titles and bullets don't align, if your description's a little wonky, if you have different variations of products that aren't fully listed or optimized and are different on the marketplace, Amazon and any other specific search engine, we'll get into Walmart, I'm sure, in a little bit, but they want to serve their customer with the best possible solution for their specific queries and the questions that they're answering. And if your product doesn't provide it clearly enough, you're not going to show up in that specific space. So it's crucially important that your data hygiene is corrected and in a good spot as it pertains to titles, bullets, variations, and even some reviews. So we want to make sure that that's another thing we're focusing on for our brands, as well as we're seeing when we onboard a new client is, that tends to be an issue within the Cosmo framework, as well as having inconsistent titles, bullets, whatever you may want to call it. The other thing is, and this may make some marketing leaders upset, but we're moving past marketing speak. We want to make sure that everything is AI parsable. And what that means is making things digestible. We don't need to use this marketing copy or have positioning about the specific product. We want to make sure that there's contextual signals that let Rufus know that, hey, this is what this product's for. These are some use cases. These are some scenarios in which someone may use this product. Here are some answers as to, let's say someone's looking for a blender. Hey, yes, it does break down ice. Like answering questions like that come up commonly when people are searching for specific products. And then the last thing, and I think this is a super important detail, is that there's no systematic approach to updating their product listing pages. Mm-hmm. It's kind of one go. Okay, we'll get to the next one, and it leads to semantic gaps and does not tie things together from an entity standpoint, because Amazon understands and Rufus understands the relationship between the products on the site, and it's crucially important that as you go through and make these optimizations and updates, that not only you're letting Amazon and Rufus know that there's a relationship between these products, but also we don't want to lose the core keywords that we're currently ranking for. And I think that's something that's also missed along this this path of optimization is, we need to make sure that we're optimizing for Cosmo, but also abandoning some core keywords that are incredibly relevant and partially why your product may be in the top 5 just because you're trying to optimize for Rufus. So it's about finding that healthy blend. And then the last part of your question was to fix one thing, right? And I think the biggest thing and the easiest fix is data cleanliness. This is the top driver of what will get you, in the conversation within Rufus, is just having that clean, consistent, contradiction-free data. That is what AI is looking for.
Okay, that's great. And then when you think about, you mentioned Walmart before, right? And there's all these different, AI assistants within different retail media networks, Rufus, Sparky, et cetera. How does Walmart's Sparky differ from like Amazon's Rufus? Like, how do the approaches differ, and what organic like SEO or catalog tactics win in like certain ecosystem, and which ones kind of will make a brand win across both?
Yeah, and I mean, we kind of talked about this on a webinar in the past, just the fact that Amazon does not let ChatGPT or other AI search engines crawl their content. So it's a proprietary self-contained system, and it's really good at deep product education, having specific comparisons, and using every bit of internal data to your specific products, including review history and then any sort of purchase patterns that your customers may be having. And its main goal is when you're on Amazon to keep you on Amazon and keep you shopping there. Whereas Sparky is kind of the opposite here. It's playing the omni-channel game. Walmart has just recently announced a partnership with ChatGPT to be able to purchase directly from ChatGPT through Walmart. They're welcoming AI traffic. 20% of external traffic they get from ChatGPT. They're trying to utilize and unify everything across the digital ecosystem, and Sparky is kind of this face that they're putting forward to make sure that everything is prominent as possible. And that means, everything from a seamless kind of instant checkout, or directing you to a store nearby where you may be able to purchase the product physically if you need it in that moment today, or something along those lines. So if we're thinking about SEO strategy holistically, it's a critical pivot. We're no longer optimizing for the search bar within these specific platforms, whether it be Amazon or Walmart. We're optimizing for the AI agent. We want it to extract all the data that may be applicable within our specific product listings. So the first thing we need to talk about is Cosmo Framework. It's still relevant here across both Amazon and Sparky, with Rufus and Sparky. And also we want to have semantic completeness. Like I said earlier, you need to make sure that there's a relationship and rich contextual signals between the who, what, where, when, and why across your entire listing. And that means not just the title, that means the bullets, that means the description. And you want these AI bots to really understand, what your product's about, so it can better compare when a user has a question specific to, hey, I'm looking for hiking shoes in the Pacific Northwest. It needs those contextual frames of references in order to provide the best product and best experience for the customer shopping on there. The biggest thing too is that these AI agents want to facilitate the purchase instantly. So if you don't have your product data in a good spot, or it's inconsistent, it will choose a competitor, because like I said, they don't want to serve bad information to their customers. They want to achieve the quickest path to purchase as possible. And that means having, clean, easy to digest product information that relates to that Cosmo framework and really ties into, hey, what's this product used for? Answer any questions the user may have about it.
Okay. You touched on this a little bit, but I want to expand a bit more, because I've heard, and we've seen so much data around that discovery still doesn't really happen so much in Rufus or in Sparky. Like, obviously it's growing, there are new tools, consumers are getting used to it, it's being adopted, but it's just not there yet, right? So much discovery still happens on ChatGPT. And then people will go to Amazon or Walmart or whatever it might be. So how do you balance between optimizing for discovery outside of Amazon and Walmart on other LLMs, for example, and optimizing within Walmart and Amazon? How do you kind of walk that line?
Yeah, and that's a really good question. I think it stems upon this multi-pronged approach. It's kind of the biggest channel we're seeing in the funnel right now. Much of that initial research happens in search engines like ChatGPT, and then that's that why. What should I consider when I'm looking for Pacific Northwest hiking shoes? And then the customer will end up going to Rufus or Sparky to really analyze the types of products that they saw on ChatGPT and really understand what's right for them. So the important thing to note here is that from a top of the funnel perspective, you should be focusing a lot of your D2C efforts on your own website. This includes blogs, guides, resources, any sort of information that may help the AI better contextualize what's going on with your specific products, your site. And then that will help build authority, so that when someone's searching, for hiking shoes in the Pacific Northwest, you have content supporting that, and it makes the recommendation based off the authority that you have built there.
Nikki, quick question. Sorry, quick follow-up too. You think optimizing for D2C, even if your brand does not sell on D2C, like consumer product, CPG, like other brands like that, it still makes sense for them to really focus on their
I totally think so. I think that's super important for that top of the funnel discovery. And then once you have them kind of interested in your product, that's where optimizing for the product listing pages, as well as any sort of content that exists on Walmart or Amazon specifically, you want to make sure that those are buttoned up. Just so that when people are moving towards that decision phase, that your product's top of mind. But in order to initiate that top of the funnel discovery, sometimes the product listing pages aren't what's going to do it for you, especially if someone's having these more general queries and is a little more curious about the product specifically. So it is a multi-pronged approach. Like I said, you want to have those top of the funnel queries addressed on your D2C site, and then once you get to the mid and bottom funnel, and any sort of questions that are more specific to the products and the features and whatnot, that's where you want to hone in on the product listing pages. This is something that we've kind of talked about a lot with our clients, is just this consistent attribute mapping. So having similar content, making sure they're all related to one another, because the AI ecosystem is this one giant kind of wheel where all things are kind of considered. It looks across, Walmart, it looks across different mentions on Reddit threads, it looks across your D2C site. And if it can link those things together, that ensures that, this is the best product to offer for a specific question that a user may have. And that's kind of where I'll leave it at with this, is just, focusing in on what we talked about earlier with the product listing page optimizations, but also simultaneously optimizing your own D2C site, even if you don't sell there directly, for any sort of product education or things along that line.
Really good points, Mickey. And Megan, over to you. I mean, if we zoom out for a moment, all of this points to a much bigger shift, right? Discovering is no longer happening in one place. To Mickey's point, shoppers are bouncing between Google, Meta, TikTok, GPT, Amazon, Walmart. So if discovery is becoming more omni-channel, then brands need omni-channel influence. And I know that we've just seen internally at the agency, that's where creators can do a lot, right? They're increasingly becoming the first touch point in that journey. So for brands that are new to this space, the whole idea of the creator economy and Amazon's creator connections, can you start by explaining why creator-driven affiliate marketing is becoming so important?
Yeah, that's a great point, because the space has fundamentally changed over the last year and a half or so. And the reality is that traditional advertising channels, if you are buying across Amazon, this, Amazon PPC specifically, have become increasingly expensive, right? We're seeing CPCs rise 30, 40, 50% year over year. We're seeing ROAS flat or declining, right? There's more ad dependency than there's ever been before. Yep. But at the same time, consumers have changed how they discover and research products. They're not just going to Amazon anymore, right? They're not just typing in keywords into the search bar. They're watching YouTube reviews, scrolling through TikTok, reading blogs, asking what should I buy, in ways that don't include the Amazon ecosystem. We talked about Amazon has access to 90 million households, and that's fantastic, but those people are not just on Amazon, right? So creator-driven affiliate marketing bridges that gap. So it allows you to reach shoppers in kind of all of those discovery moments before they get to Amazon and influence their purchase decision at the moments that they are just a little bit more receptive, right? And what makes it, I think, especially important right now is very pay-for-performance model, right? Creator Connections launch this in many ways. And unlike traditional advertising where we're paying for impressions or clicks, with affiliate marketing and some of these creators, we only pay when a sale happens. And in an environment when every single dollar needs to justify itself, right? The pay-for-performance approach is incredibly compelling to brands, obviously.
Yeah, that makes sense. So beyond just driving sales, what would you say is the core benefits brands are seeing when they implement creator affiliate programs, like value proposition?
Yeah. Other than sales, because it is going to drive more sales, right? But it's not just about revenue. Everything we do at the agency is about a flywheel, right? How do we make 1 + 1 = 3 every single time? And there are really 3 benefits that compound over time when you think about this, right? So first, there's cost efficiency, right? If you just compare the economics of affiliate marketing to Amazon PPC, the math's very compelling. If you pay a $1 CPC on Amazon with a 5% conversion rate, that's $20 to acquire a new customer, right? But if you think about affiliate marketing, you might pay a 15% commission on a $50 product. That's about $750, right? But then Amazon gives you back on average 10% through their brand referral bonus, obviously, if you qualify, for driving external traffic. So your net cost drives to $5 per acquisition. So you're paying a quarter of what PPC costs, and you're only paying when the sale happens. Again, that's really powerful. 2, there's a boost in organic visibility. If you've been working in Amazon for any amount of time, this. It's kind of the hidden benefit that most brands don't initially understand. But when creators drive external traffic to Amazon listings, Amazon algorithm notices, right? It sees people coming outside of Amazon specifically to buy your product, and it interprets that as this product is relevant and popular beyond the Amazon platform. That signal improves your organic search rankings inside Amazon, and we consistently see that brands approve improve around 3 to 6 positions on some of their main keywords within 60 to 90 days of running consistent affiliate campaigns. And then those rankings obviously generate additional sales that cost you nothing, right? And then third is the authenticity and trust factor. I cannot talk about this enough, right? When a creator genuinely reviews your product, demonstrates how it works, or incorporates it into lifestyle content, that's social proof that advertising has a really hard time replicating. The audience trusts the creator's opinion. We're seeing this traffic convert 20 to 30% higher than traditional like PPC methods, because people arrive at the listing, they're pre-sold, right? They're not discovering you for the first time. They're pretty much convinced. So all of this to say that it all compounds. It lowers acquisition costs. It means you can afford to scale faster. You get better organic rankings at no additional marginal cost, and then higher conversion rate means your overall profitability goes. So it's not just one benefit. Again, it is a flywheel that accelerates your entire growth ecosystem.
Great points. And then last question I have. So if you're a new brand and you're considering this, what level of control, right, are you going to have over the program? Like, what are the main risks and challenges?
Yeah, this is a great question, because we've heard obviously brands have concerns or bad experiences in the past, but you really do have more control than you think you do. Like, you control commission rates. You can set them by product, by creative tier, across your whole catalog. If a product has thin margins, you offer 8% commission. If it has healthy margins, 20%. You're really in the driver's seat there. You can control approval. You can control content guidelines. You can provide creators with your brand messaging, product specs, key benefits, do's and don'ts, right? And for organic affiliate content, you monitor what's being posted. You can deactivate creators who violate your guidelines. Now for the risks, right? One, creator inconsistency. Not every creator is going to perform. Some will sign up. We see this all the time. Sign up and they're so excited, so enthusiastic, but they never post. That's fine. I'd plan for like 30 to 50% inactive rate. Two, brand consistency. If you have 50 creators making content, message consistency does get a little bit harder, but you have to let creators be creators as long as they're following your guidelines. The best performing content we've found is not scripted. It's real, it's raw. It's like a little bit weird, but it's great, right? It works. And if your brand is showing up on creator-led platforms like TikTok, Pinterest, and even Threads, your job isn't to control the message, it's really to empower it. Give the creators the space that they need to do what they do best, and trust the process, because authenticity is going to win every single time. And then fourth is cannibalization fears. One thing that we've heard pretty consistently is that there's going to be overlap where affiliate sales might have happened organically. And I mean, that's not totally untrue, but it's not true either, right? Like, it kind of lives in this gray area. But the key isn't about like micromanaging every incremental one-off sale. The key is about tracking incrementality overall, right? And focusing on net new demand, organic ranking improvements, and overall portfolio performance, rather than obsessing on individual cases. If you guys can get your kind of like brains wrapped around those things, it's really, really powerful tool. So man, I'm really excited about heading into 2026. Obviously, thank you all for joining us for the last 30 minutes. We're about to wrap up. Again, if you have any questions, anything we didn't cover, anything that really piqued your interest, please email us at marketing@directagents.com. And, happy almost Cyber Week, everybody. Good luck out there. Bye. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.